What's going on, everybody? Finally time for this Q&A video. Just to kind of preface, I want to say that I obviously won't do every single question just because, I do get a lot when I do these sort of things. So I try to pick some of the more interesting questions or some of the questions I'm getting more often to try and, help more people with just the same questions, just trying to clear things up. And secondly, when I ask for questions, I'm not necessarily asking for requests, so I'm not really going to be talking about whether or not I'm going to just record a video for a song that you want or something. That's not really what this is about. So let's get started. This is a good question. I mean, it's something that I've talked about before. I do have a video listed on my page from a couple years back where I went through like my top 10 or top 20 perfect albums, and it was just not necessarily my favorite albums, but it was albums that I thought that start to finish were just perfectly done, and personally, I was very fond of. That being said, that was a few years ago. My tastes have definitely changed since then. But I'm not going to give you my 10 favorite or just my top 10 of all time. But I will give you this list that I will flash on the screen of albums that I think you should check out. They're albums that are important to me, that I feel could kind of give you an idea of just what I dig and just kind of what make me the kind of musician that I am. So here are those albums. Alright, so be sure to check those out. I mean, I really do put a lot of love for those albums. They're very special to me, and some are more recent, some are definitely more older albums that have just stuck with me for a long time, but they all have a lot of meaning to me. So next question. I'm kind of assuming you're new to my channel. Definitely been a decent SG user in the past. It's not that I necessarily have any hate towards SGs, but both of the SG standards that I have that were both Gibsons, I just could not fall in love with them. I mean, for one, their sound was just never thick enough for me. They would never sound like as good as like a Les Paul or a Paul Reed Smith or something like that. Something a bit chunkier. There's something about that guitar that just kind of falls a little short for me. I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad sound by any means, but it's just a very specific sound, and it's just never really what I was going for. That being said, I do have another reason why I just kind of stopped with Gibson, SGs especially. I could never keep the damn things in tune, ever. I mean, granted, now I know a lot more about guitars than I did when I owned SGs, so I mean, maybe it would be a different story now. But yeah, there was just too much retuning whenever I was playing those guitars, especially compared to my Les Pauls or my Explorers or my Strats. It was just getting tiring, and I don't know, I was just kind of over it. That being said, I don't have a lot of faith in Gibson as a company these days. I really feel like they don't make a very good product anymore, and I think they're just kind of riding the coattails of their past, I guess, in a way. I really think that they're as big of a company now, and still currently, it's just because of what people knew them as in the past, and what just what people talked about the old ones being. I don't really think that their quality control is really up to par anymore, and I don't know, I just don't care for a lot of the the newer stylistic changes that they're really doing these days. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Next question. Well, I've never personally used Seymour Duncan Fat Cat pickups, but I've always been very interested in trying them. I am a big fan of P90 pickups. I don't use them very often, but I would really like to have a guitar that's just dedicated to a P90 setup. That being said, I do love that they are humbucker sized and they can accommodate a lot of different guitars that aren't necessarily routed for those. I have used a couple bare knuckle branded humbucker sized P90s and I love those, and I think they're easily just as good as a normal P90 like a soap bar or a dog ear. But I personally haven't played the Fat Cats, although the price point is definitely a lot better than the bare knuckle stuff, and it's kind of hard to say no for that sort of thing. That's one thing that Seymour Duncan definitely has over some more like boutique brands. I know that a lot of people use them, a lot of people do like them, so I'd like to try them someday just so I have a bit more reference to really talk about them more, you know, a little more knowledge on the subject. But unfortunately, that's all I can really give. Next question. Well, some of these questions are gonna kind of run together a little bit. I apologize for the kind of sloppy editing here, but I do have a few questions regarding like my new music I've been working on. So some of the answers might overlap a little bit, but asking about a full-length acoustic album. Right now, I'm working on an EP. It's 4 songs. I think they're 4 good songs. You know, I'm happy with the way they turned out. I don't know the exact runtime, but it's between like 15 and 20 minutes, I'm pretty sure. Probably closer to 15. And I'm really happy with it. You know, I definitely do want to do another acoustic EP and maybe release them as like a dual EP album kind of deal. But we'll see. Right now, it's just going to be the EP. And after this, I plan on doing more like full band, like heavier melodic, you know, electric guitar stuff. So right now, it's just gonna be kind of working on a short project here, working on a short project there. After the last album, that really took a lot of effort, and then it just kind of came and went. And I want to try and spend less time on big projects and just try to focus on smaller projects and kind of keep the excitement there, you know, not get like bored, not necessarily bored, but kind of tired of it, you know. So next question. So yeah, I kind of mentioned this a little bit already with the last question, but as of right now, today, this is October 11th. The songs are recorded. There is a little bit more to be done as far as mixing and mastering, because last minute I did add some extra parts to those songs. I did get a guest spot on one of the songs, and I actually just this morning got some album art too for my girlfriend. So very cool. It's definitely moving along. It'll absolutely be out before the end of the year. I'm just not entirely sure when. But as soon as I figure it out, I'll definitely let you guys know. Next question. I mean, I don't trick or treat. I'm going to be 28 years old this year. That being said, last year we did. Me and my girlfriend did take her nieces around town to go trick or treating and stuff, and it was fun. You know, I don't really take costumes very seriously. I did buy a costume this year because I thought it would be hilarious, and last year I was a very random character. I just went to Walmart and what did I do? I bought like a Batman mask, a Superman cape, and I had like a samurai sword, and I just called myself Super Batman. I thought that was funny. But yeah, I mean, trick-or-treating, you know, I don't do it for me. I do it for, you know, her nieces and stuff, which are always fun. But that's about it. Next question. I do get the lyric question a lot. I don't write lyrics. I used to write lyrics very long time ago, back when I was still in high school. You know, I wrote like hundreds of songs worth of lyrics, and it's just not something I'm really into anymore. I write my stuff specifically for the purpose of an instrumental song. So I kind of fill as much as I can with interesting instrumental parts, so that it doesn't really feel like it needs a singer. That being said, you know, I'm not opposed to working with singers. If I did, I'd probably let them write the lyrics and maybe tweak it here and there, just so they, you know, don't conflict with my views or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's not something that I actively do, and it's not something I really see myself doing, but we'll see. Next question. This is definitely something I'm passionate about. Let me start off with that. I have a few friends, Grant Henry being one of them. And I guess the other guy's not really a friend. I don't know him that well, but someone I've watched for a long time, and it's actually one of Grant's friends. Who goes by Danimal Cannon. He's in a band called Arm Cannon, and both of them are great players, and both of them have played Carvin Guitars for a very long time. Grant has been playing his green 6-string Carvin since like the mid '90s. The guy like loves that guitar, and it suits him. It's awesome, the things that he does with that guitar, and same thing with Danimal. They both do great stuff. That being said, I was very interested in checking out Carvin Guitars for a while, and I was this close to buying Carvin guitar, I swear to God, like 10 different times. I just never took the plunge. And then the company kind of split its name in half a bit, and Carvin was kind of saved for like the audio equipment and like the amplifiers and stuff like that, and they took the Kiesel name for the guitars and the basses. And it wasn't a new company, it was just a rebranding of a name, because the Kiesels were the people making the guitars. They were the people, you know, behind the scenes and everything. And I don't know how it happened, but they just went down the toilet. They really did. I'm huge on a lot of guitar forums. One of them is, one in specific, is the 7string.org forum, and you know, I'm not a 7-string player, but it is a great community full of a lot of knowledgeable people, and I've just read so many horror stories about people just getting screwed over by these guys. Their lack of attention to detail, their rush to get stuff out the door that isn't finished, and when customers, you know, go back to them and say, hey, you know, this isn't what I wanted, this isn't what it should be, this isn't up to par, this isn't as good as it should be, they will like berate these customers and treat them like dogs for no reason. And you know, I've been pretty much brought up the last like decade or so, you know, more or less in a work environment to really, really do what you can for your customer, because they are the reason why you're there. And I don't know. I mean, I've heard way too many instances of Kiesel, specifically Jeff Kiesel, the owner, or the head guy over there, just being a big prick. And I don't want anything to do with their company. He's even gone like on live stream videos and videos on their pages to just call out these people that he thinks are just punks trying to pull one over on him, and he's just being completely unprofessional, and I don't support that at all. Not only that, within the past couple years since the Kiesel name change, they've just come out with so many ugly, absolutely horrendous guitar models and just body shapes, and I just wonder what drugs they're on, because I don't know, it's just ridiculous. I don't know. You will never see me playing a Kiesel guitar, I can guarantee that, and this is the one company that I am seriously this passionate about not playing. I'm just not about it. Next question. I get this question every now and then. Frankly, it's not something I think about very often. I have come to terms with the fact that Tom is not in Blink-182 right now. I've come to terms with the fact that Blink-182 is not what it used to be. Whether or not Tom was in the band, it wouldn't really change the fact that they are not the way that they were back in 2003. Do I hope he comes back? Not necessarily, because that fire may never come back, even if he rejoined the band. I don't know. I will say, I really hope that whatever happens, I hope that Matt keeps Alkaline Trio going, and I hope that it doesn't ruin what is so great about Alkaline Trio. It's hard to really say either way. I mean, I don't know exactly what Tom's doing right now, because I'm not really following him on social media right now. I probably should, just because I'm kind of he's kind of back in my good graces a bit. It took me a while after the split of Blink-182, but I really respect what he was doing, and that last We Don't Need to Whisper acoustic thing was cool. I dug that, and then some of the last few albums, I'm into that. So I'd like for that to keep going, and I don't know, if Blink keeps going the way that it is, with just this dull, lifeless, generic pop punk, I'm not really into it, and I don't know. I don't know if Tom can really save that right now. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not holding my breath. Next question. On the topic of Alkaline Trio, I really don't listen to their early albums very much. Honestly, I would have to look up their track list to remember what's on that album, to be completely honest. I started listening to their stuff at Good Morning, which I think was like maybe their third album, maybe their fourth, I don't quite remember. I know there was From Here to Infirmary, I know there's God Damn It, and then maybe I'll Catch Fire or something like that. So yeah, maybe it's their fourth album. And I've listened to some of their earlier stuff a few times, but I never really got into it, and I don't know, I never really took the time to really try to get into it. So unfortunately, I can't really say. Sorry. Next question. This is a good question. I mean, there's definitely some stuff that I've outgrown, some faster than others. I mean, I was very big into the pop punk stuff, and that's something I've definitely outgrown. Some bands more than others. Before I even started listening to pop punk and that sort of stuff, I was very big into rock and metal, and a lot of those bands, I think they stand the test of time. There's not a lot of bands in that sort of genre, 90s, 80s, and 70s bands that I really outgrown, But there's a lot of those pop punk bands from when I was, a very impressionable teenager, I'm kind of done and over with and happy to be done with. Some of those bands being like Simple Plan. I only listened to one of their albums. It's the one that had Addicted and I Do Anything. I think it's called No Pads, No Helmets, Just Balls. They can have all the balls they want, I guess. Another band would be Bowling for Soup. They're not that bad. I can easily listen to a Bowling for Soup song now, every now and then. But by all means, I don't try to seek them out and listen to them on purpose. Good Charlotte's another one. I was a big fan of the Young and Hopeless album, and a pretty good fan of the one after that, Chronicles of Life and Death. I liked their first album a little bit, but not a whole lot. But yeah, I kind of gave up on them. I was like, you know what, I'm over this. I stopped really listening to them. I can't really think of too many more, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. Those are definitely the ones that come to mind more than anything else. Next question. Yeah, so that next question. If I had to pick Fat Lip or In Too Deep, I would probably go with In Too Deep. I think it's a better song. I think it has a really cool guitar solo. There's a better music video too. Fat Lip's a fine song, I don't mind it, but I always thought it was a little overrated personally. Next question.